Okay, welcome back to InsideFlix. It's that time of the week again where we dive into this past weekend's box office numbers. So let's kickstart our weekly box office report. Rich, can you please reveal the top 5 movies that claimed their spots in the box office rankings this past weekend?
Okay, this is the 4-day Memorial Day weekend numbers. Coming in number 1 is The Little Mermaid with $118.8 million. Number 2 is Fast X with $28.5 million. Number 3 is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 with $26.8 million. Number 4 is Super Mario Brothers movies with $8.2. And coming in round out the top 5 is The Machine with $5.8 million.
All right, before we dive into the box office numbers for Disney's The Little Mermaid, I got to ask you guys this. Do you feel like this summer is shaping up to be a little bit shaky? You know, maybe not as profitable as we initially thought?
I guess I could say yes, because I really expected the last 2 weeks to be a much more bigger than this. It's not officially summer to me. I mean, it's not until the 4th of July weekend, really.
Well, ever since the release of the Super Mario Brothers, which, you know, was this really great surprise, or I guess not a surprise, but it was a welcome hit. It did super well. And I think I would say that was a hopeful sign of what the summer could bring. And I think looking back with the other releases of May, a lot of it underperformed. And I guess, my hopes of having this big summer were let down because of that.
I kind of have different feelings than you. I feel like people are being just more selective with what they watch in theaters, but I think, people are clearly going to the movies. I mean, Top Gun and Avatar were huge.
Yeah.
Super Mario Brothers is massive, much bigger than anybody expected, and still doing really well for a movie that's already on VOD. I think Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is still doing very well. It seems to still be on track to be the most successful in the trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
Fast X, while the numbers domestically aren't great, I think it's still going to end up reaching about 200 million domestic, maybe a little below that. And the overseas numbers are still very strong. The movie's already made over 500 million worldwide. And I think, by the time Fast X is done in theaters, it's going to end up, maybe not being the most successful in the franchise, but still being more successful than the last one. Also, the movie's not very good, so that doesn't really help Fast X. And all these other movies have been underperforming. Unfortunately, I hate to say it because I really want to see. I don't want movies like this to go away from theaters, but I think these are just movies people would rather watch at home or on a plane.
And here's a thought. Maybe the era of films crossing over $1 billion mark at the box office is like behind us now. Maybe that's too much. Yeah. Too much to ask for.
No.
I think it's too much to ask for every movie to cross over $1 billion. And maybe
that was always foolish to expect.
Well, let's go back to Little Mermaid, because The Little Mermaid, I think, domestic wise, it's an obvious hit with 118 million. It's a fine opening. We expected 120. At least I expected 120 for the 4-day, but it's internationally. You could safely say it's a flop. Was only 78 million. I mean, it's a lot less than the domestic wise, and
it opened in a lot of territories.
Yeah, I think it opened up in China also, which did very poorly, less than 3 million. So yeah, it's definitely.
And to be fair, China, it's just American movies, Hollywood movies are not doing well there. Fast X is, I guess, number 1 again for the second week in China, but it's still a lot lower than what has previously done in China. I don't know. It's like I say, the ground is shifting here with international markets.
The only big hit to me so far is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, because it is number 3 this weekend, but it actually came in number 2 on Monday, Memorial Day. So it beat Fast X on Monday. So
it was basically tied with Fast X this weekend.
Yeah.
It's so close.
I think Guardians has the most staying power of all the films in the top 5, because
besides Super Mario Brothers,
Super Mario Brothers is now on VOD, so it could slip off eventually. But
I don't know, but the Super Mario Brothers is still so expensive on VOD.
Let's talk about Little Mermaid's second week. Its possible second week. Do you see a big drop for its second week?
I do, and Haley Bailey is a fine star, but other than that, I mean, the I don't think there's no major stars attached to it. I mean, Melissa McCarthy, I think she's not fit to be an international star just yet. Sure, she's been in a lot of movies, but she's also been in a lot of her husband's movies. So it evens out that her star power is not there yet.
Well, you also got Javier Bardem, who unfortunately has gained like the worst of the criticisms for the movie. They're saying that he's pretty awful in the film.
Oh, is he? Oh, that's too bad. Because Lila Crocodile, I thought he was great.
But I don't understand that kind of international opening. It really underperformed. Although it did pretty well here in the States. It's mostly skewed women. It did well with women, and also did well with 20 years and younger, or 25 and younger. So it seems like people who grew up with Little Mermaid went to see this movie. I think it's going to do probably a pretty significant drop next week, or this upcoming week.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I think it's going to also have a pretty big drop. Probably a little over 60%, maybe like 62 or 63, something like that. But it's not going to be dropping as fast as like Fast X from the domestic, top 5.
Yeah, well, let's talk about Fast X, because I was pretty shocked about that number, because it dropped about 60. What was it, 67?
65.6, but still, it's like I said, it's still big hit internationally.
Well, internationally, it's a different story, but domestically, it's weird because it's almost like the opposite of what Little Mermaid's doing. Little Mermaid's doing pretty well here in domestically, but internationally, it's not doing that well. Fast X is the opposite. Obviously, there's a part 2 of the finale. Mm-hmm. I think that part 3 that Vin Diesel threw out in his interviews was probably a Hail Mary, because I don't think that's going to happen.
I don't necessarily agree with that. I think they could still pull it off if they kind of shoot both movies back to back.
Well, why
not, right?
They also teased a Fast X women or a Fast Women version. So
I think there's still possibility for spin-offs and stuff like that, but they would have to do those spin-offs with a lower budget.
Oh, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to see a Shaw remake. You don't have to bring Hobbs into it. And I only say that because, if you bring in Dwayne Johnson, that's an extra paycheck.
Plus, then he wants to produce it.
Yeah. It comes with a lot of baggage when you attach Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. And same thing goes with Vin Diesel. You got 2 of the biggest egos in Hollywood on this franchise.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know. I'm hoping if Vin Diesel really wants to make this like a finale. I mean, like, Paul Walker's already he passed away. Mm-hmm. I mean, just kill off Vin Diesel's character, right? Dom, kill him off. I mean, in this last one, I didn't mention this when I talked about the movie last time, but he's looking so old. He reminded me of my uncle's best friend who recently lost his legs from diabetes. And that's what I kept thinking of. That's what I kept thinking of when I saw Vin Diesel on the screen, and I'm like, wow, this is just ridiculous. This whole franchise, and it's because of him, a big part of it. I'm supposed to buy this grandfather. He's not even in shape during the movie. It's crazy.
What if they bring back Dom and it's Fast 20? The Dom fights diabetes or something. All right, let's get to the rest of the top 10, Rich.
Coming in number 6 is About My Father. Number 7 is Kandahar. Number 8 is You Hurt My Feelings. Number 9 is Evil Dead Rise. And round out the top 10 is Book Club, The Next Chapter.
Well, let's talk about the 2 major comedies that came out this past week, The Machine and About My Father. These features big stand-up comedians, but it didn't do that well in the box office. Can you explain that?
None of the films did very well, and they went up against themselves.
No, the crazy thing is, I think all 3 of these movies, or even 4 if you count You Hurt My Feelings, they're all for completely different audiences. Mm-hmm. I don't even think The Machine or About My Father are really for the same audience. I think About For My Father is almost like a family movie, like a family movie with a little edge. Mm-hmm. And The Machine is a straight up just R-rated comedy. But I think these are just movies people would rather just watch at home. And unfortunately, I can't speak for all of these movies. I did see one of them, but from what I've been hearing, these aren't very good movies, and the one I saw wasn't very good either.
And you saw The Machine, right?
Well, we didn't have to say that. Yes.
So let's take a look at the upcoming weekend and let's see what's coming out in wide release. Rich, tell us what moviegoers can expect this weekend in theaters.
Opening up wide this weekend is Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. This is the highly anticipated animated sequel where web slinger Miles Morales embarks on a mind-bending adventure as he stumbles upon the ability to travel between dimensions. Also opening up in wide release is The Boogeyman. This is the new supernatural horror film based on the short story by Stephen King about a grieving therapist and his 2 daughters who have come under attack by a terrifying supernatural entity that has been tormenting one of the doctor's patients.
Okay, so the box office tracking for Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, it's about 80 million for its opening. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, that's bigger than the last one. So, I mean, it's more than double the last one. So, I mean, that's good. I don't know if it's necessarily gonna. If that means it's gonna make the last one ended up making a little under 400 million worldwide. I don't know if this means that this one's gonna make 800 million, but it's definitely gonna make substantially more than the first one. So that's good.
I think certainly it's going to be one of the biggest comic book movies of the summer.
Yeah, but if this movie I think if this movie makes 600 million worldwide,
I think
that'd be huge.
Yeah, that'd be terrific.
That's a huge a round of applause.
That means the
maybe
next
turn
movie.
this into maybe turn this into a trilogy instead of 2 films.
Yeah, isn't there a third one in the making? Yeah.
No, but I meant 4 films then.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
Like what Vin Diesel's doing with Fast X.
Let's talk about the other big wide release, The Boogeyman. Now, this is being projected to hit 15 million for its opening. This is a horror film, and horror has been doing pretty well this season.
Yeah, it's been a while since there's been a horror film in theaters, right?
I guess Evil Dead Rise, maybe that was the last one.
Oh, okay, yeah, I guess so. That wasn't like that long ago. It's just I think most horror fans that wanted to see it already saw it. So it's I mean it's a good time for Boogeyman to be coming in. And I think it's mostly going to pull in that 15 million because, there's a hunger for a new horror film.
Well, I mean, like with Evil Dead Rise, and I think the appeal of that movie is its gore. And it seems like The Boogeyman is more of a supernatural haunting. It's, we're dealing with spirits or a demon-like spirit. You think that's going to change its projection?
So you're worried it's going to, perform like Renfield and Pope's Exorcist?
Yeah, more like Pope's Exorcist.
Well, I mean, they both did the same.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, it wasn't a breakout.
I think this movie's it's still gonna do a little better than Pope's Exorcist, right? Because it just doesn't look as corny, right? So I think that'll help it out.
All right, let's look at limited release. Rich, tell us what movies are coming this week in limited release.
Opening up Unlimited is Past Lives. This is the new A24 indie drama about 2 childhood friends from South Korea who reunite in New York after years of separation. Also opening up in limited release is Padre Pio. This is the film from Bad Lieutenant director Abel Ferrara, which stars Shia LaBeouf as an Italian priest torn between his wavering faith and the political landscape of World War II. And finally coming out in limited release is Simulant. This is the new sci-fi thriller that takes place in the future where humans and advanced AI androids coexist.
Yeah, so I guess big buzz about Past Lives, just maybe because this is an A24 film, and a lot of people have been talking about that. When I say a lot of people on Letterboxd have been talking about this movie. Shia LaBeouf as an Italian priest, maybe. Who knows? Maybe that's good. Simulant, if you're a big kind of science fiction nut, you probably would want to check this out. It also has Sam Worthington and the great Simu Liu from Shang-Chi fame. He co-stars in that. Any of these movies look appealing to you?
I haven't been seeing any trailers for any of them, so this is my first time hearing about, pretty much all of them, and none of them really capture my attention from hearing your descriptions. But
you don't want to see a Shia LaBeouf as an Italian priest?
I mean, is it better than Pope's Exorcist?
It could be. Let's talk about streaming now. What could people stream this weekend?
Coming out on streaming this weekend is Shooting Stars, which will be on Peacock. This is the new basketball drama inspired by LeBron James' best-selling book about his early years as a high school basketball star and about how he and his childhood friends rose to become the top-ranked high school team in the country.
All right, so that's it for this week's box office report. Thank you for watching InsideFlix. We'll be back next week, and we'll talk about the new movies coming out next week. Bye-bye, everyone.